Good evening, everybody, and thank you for coming to meet with us this evening. It's a form of introduction. I'm Chief Cox of the Cobb County Police Department, and with me to my right is Deputy Chief Adcock, Deputy Chief Van Hooser, and Deputy Chief Hamilton. What I'm going to do is just spend a few minutes reading a statement, and then we're going to see a video in reference to the shooting incident that occurred back on July 13th of 2020. On the night of July 13, 2020, Cobb County police officers were notified of a stolen vehicle in the area of Riverside Parkway. They located the vehicle and attempted a traffic stop as the vehicle entered the Quick Trip parking lot on Riverside. The driver of the vehicle refused to stop and chose to drive away to avoid the officers. This resulted in a vehicle pursuit on Riverside Parkway, and ultimately the driver entered a business complex and drove to the rear of that complex. At that point, the officers were able to force the vehicle to stop. The driver of that vehicle exited the car and ran from officers. He was ultimately apprehended. The rear seat passenger remained in the car and was detained on scene. The right front seat passenger, Mr. Vincent DeMario Truitt, slid across from the passenger seat across the center of the vehicle and entered the driver's seat area. He then exited the driver's door in front of an officer that had begun to pursue the driver of the vehicle. Mr. Truitt was armed with a handgun as he exited the vehicle. Mr. Truitt attempted to run when the officer drew his issued weapon and fired 2 shots, striking Mr. Truitt both times. Mr. Truitt fell to the ground and was secured by officers. They then began to provide medical assistance. This assistance consisted of the use of chest seals, applying chest seals that they carry with them to assist them if they should ever get shot. They also began to perform CPR and continued with those life-saving efforts until the Cobb County Fire Department and EMS arrived on the scene. At that time, Cobb Fire and EMS began providing medical assistance, and eventually Mr. Truitt was transported to Grady Hospital. He passed away approximately 12 hours after the shooting incident. As with all of our officer-involved shootings within our department, this investigation was immediately turned over to the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, and they responded to the scene that evening. Our department assisted the GBI in identifying, providing the identity of Mr. Truitt. And over the next few days, the Cobb County Police Department provided a liaison, which was one of our command staff members, to reach out and communicate with the family and provide a point of contact to the family. Over the next few weeks, Mr. Truitt's mother and grandmother communicated with that liaison on multiple occasions. Upon the GBI completion of the investigation, they presented their full report to the Cobb County District Attorney's Office. The District Attorney's Office presented the case to the Cobb County Grand Jury today, and the Grand Jury has determined that the officer's use of force was authorized and recommended the District Attorney take no further action in this matter. There are multiple videos of this incident, and these videos show how fast this entire incident unfolded, especially when the driver of the vehicle, Mr. Truitt, exited the vehicle. I recognize that the loss of life is tragic. I cannot imagine the pain that the Truitt family has endured during this time. I've prayed for that family every day. I also recognize the stress that any officer goes through when they have to use any use of force or put in any situation they have to use force. And I've prayed for that officer and his family every day too. Both families will struggle with the emotions and feelings related to this event for many years to come. The department recognizes the need and desire of our community for a thorough, independent investigation in matters such as this. I appreciate the community's patience as we've gone through this process for the last many months. And I appreciate the thoroughness, professionalism, and transparency that has been provided by the GBI, the Cobb County District Attorney's Office, and members of the grand jury. Now, the Cobb County Police Department has put together a video debrief of the incident, and Sergeant Delk will show us that video at this time.
This is the video debrief of the fatal shooting involving Vincent DeMario Truitt on Monday, July 13th, 2020 at 270 Riverside Parkway. Note to viewers, this video contains graphic content and viewer discretion is advised. The Cobb County Police Department's use of force policy and training emphasize that police officers use reasonableness and de-escalation while also protecting the lives of officers and the public. Foremost, the Cobb County Police Department respects the value and special integrity of each human life and recognizes that any loss of life is tragic for the family and the community at large. Officers assigned to patrol and uniform enforcement duties are assigned body-worn cameras, which are required while on duty. On Monday, July 13th, 2020, at approximately 11:23 p.m., Cobb County police officers from Precinct 2 were alerted to a stolen silver Nissan Altima in the area of 291 Riverside Parkway at the Quick Trip gas station. The following dash cam footage is from multiple police vehicles. Officers attempted a traffic stop, but the vehicle did not stop, and the vehicle pursuit began. Officers attempted to disable the vehicle in the parking lot before it could get back onto the roadway, but the driver would not stop and continued south on Riverside Parkway.
Riverside headed towards 20.
The pursuit continued on Riverside Parkway to the area of the Bluffs and Riverside Parkway. Officers attempted a pit maneuver to disable the fleeing car again, but the driver regained control and continued to flee. The stolen vehicle drove behind the business located at 270 Riverside Parkway, where officers disabled it. 2 of the 3 occupants exited the car. The driver, Raquan Robinson, was chased on foot and apprehended. The front seat passenger, Vincent DeMario Truitt, was armed with a handgun when he exited the car, and as he attempted to flee, presented a deadly threat to officers and was shot by the officer nearest him.
We got shots fired, 1 down. Start signal 4 now.
Officers provided first aid and requested emergency medical services, and Mr. Truitt was subsequently transported to Grady Hospital, where several hours later he passed away from his injuries. A third occupant, Terod Woods, remained in the back seat of the vehicle and was detained without incident. As per Cobb County Police Department protocols, the Georgia Bureau of Investigation was notified of the officer-involved shooting, and special agents responded to the scene and took over the investigation. The loaded Smith & Wesson .40 caliber pistol that Vincent DeMario Truitt had in his possession was collected as evidence by the GBI. As with all officer-involved shootings within our department, the involved officer was placed on administrative leave during the course of an internal investigation of policy and procedure related to this incident. He has since returned to full duty. The GBI completed its thorough independent investigation and turned over its findings to the Cobb County District Attorney, who then presented the information to the Cobb County Grand Jury. The grand jury did not find cause to charge the officer with a crime. This video was produced in an effort to maintain transparency with the community we serve, and as always, to adhere to our core values of commitment, service, and partnership.